Well, I've got news, so I think we're going to go ahead and start. Welcome. Thanks for being here. I'm Gary Scholtens. This is my wife, Dawn. And we are here, as you can see, we're going to talk about the national parks. But we're going to start off, Dawn's going to start off talking about the 4th grade PASS program. How many of you have ever heard of that? Heard of it?
Haven't used it.
Okay.
So when we were on a trip to some national parks with my sister in Texas, I saw some information about this 4th grade program. And so I checked into it a little bit, and basically what it is you can go online and get a pass for any child that's a 4th grader, and they and their car can get in free for that full year at any national park. And so I thought, well, that would be kind of cool to do. Our grandkids were just starting to get to that age. And so we found a book at the national park there at Big Bend, I think it was, at the kids' book of national parks. And it has all the parks in it and lots of pictures and just kind of information about what's in it. So we bought the book, and we bought the kids each passport, which I would recommend getting for yourself or your kids or your grandkids, whatever age-wise, because then when you go to the parks, you get a stamp. I can't find a stamp right now. A lot of mine, I had to go back in and fill in ones I'd been to because I didn't get it until I was over 60 years old. But now my grandkids have it, and when we went on a family trip out to DC, they got a bunch of stamps and stuff there too, so not just on the 4th grade program, but anywhere. And so it's a nice souvenir to keep. So we brought the book home and we gave it to Sawyer and told him the information, you know, 4th grade, and when you go, you're in charge, you're the star of the day. And our Sawyer's a pretty quiet kid, and we weren't sure how he'd like that too much, but he did a really great job. And he looked at the book and he said, I want to go to Capitol Reef. And we said, you want to go where? Because we had never heard of Capitol Reef National Park. And so we did some looking and found out where it was and what it was. And he also wanted to go to the big sand dunes in Colorado. He thought that sounded cool. Well, we found out they really weren't that far away from each other. And so we could do both of them. So we planned our trip, and off we went. And so we would both definitely recommend getting the pass for any 4th graders that you happen to know, and then getting to as many parks as you can. Now he has passed on the book to our granddaughter Cora, and she just finished 3rd grade.
That's not her, by the way.
No, she already knows that she wants to go to Mammoth Cave, but she wants to see sand dunes too, so we're going to go to the Indiana sand dunes. And then we're going to circle around, and we haven't decided if we want to go to Hot Springs because it's a national park, or the Diamond Park that's in Arkansas, because she would love to find a diamond. And then we'll get to see the arch on the way back. So we should hit 4 parks, which we ended up doing with Sawyer too. So, and I told my son the other day that as soon as we got back with Cora, we would give him the book because his son is 5 right now. He says, oh, we've already talked about it. He wants to go see the big trees. So he's only 5, and he's already looking forward to the big trip. And you know, we thought it would be a great experience for the kids, and it turned out it was a great experience for Graham and Gramp too, having the kids one-on-one and spending all that time with them. We had a really fun time. Yeah, we made this book when we got back of all of our adventures at all of the different parks, and he chose where he wanted to go and what he wanted to do, and it was really we had a few bumps in the road, but it was a lot of fun. There are also passes for seniors, and they have gone up in price. They were like extremely cheap, but now they're, I think, $60 if you're 62 years old. And as you can see, you know, just to get a vehicle in is $35, $30 at a park.
So park to park.
And the senior pass is good for the rest of your life.
Yes.
So if you pay the one time, the $60 or $80, whatever it is, then it is, annual pass for anyone is $80, but, oh, here we go.
There, right there.
62 and older, but that's
Lifetime senior pass is $80.
There we go, okay, yep, there we go. So, yeah,
But if you're
$80.
current military or dependent or Gold Star veteran, those are free passes. in your family, too.
So,
And you can see that the fourth grade one's listed down here also.
yeah, that's, and if you click on that, that's where you fill in your information for, to get the pass for your fourth grader. So then when we got to each of the parks, we just pulled our car up so that Sawyer's window was at the stand, and the rangers were great. And they talked to him and they asked him all the questions. Where are you going? How long are you staying? Gave him the maps, all the information and stuff, and he really handled it well, didn't he?
First one, he was pretty nervous.
Yes.
We kind of coached him ahead of time. It's okay, they're going to ask you this or this. You need to talk loud, but you know, because he got much better. The first ranger was excellent. That
Yes.
just kind of set the tone for the rest of
for
them.
all of it. And then, of course, they have their junior naturalist or junior ranger program at all of the parks too, that the kids can do and earn a badge that says that they've been to that national park, and they can collect all of the badges too. So.
Okay, so this was the first one he wanted to go to, the Great Sand Dunes. Anybody ever been there in Colorado? Yeah, it's a kind of interesting place. Lots of sand, yeah. I've been there twice. The first time I was there, this is actually a creek. It wasn't when we were there, the first with Sawyer, but it was the first time I was there, but it was only like this deep. You just kind of wade across it to get to the dunes. That's why he wanted to go.
That's why I wanted to go.
He thought it was great, but we didn't think about it. I knew it, I didn't think about it. He definitely didn't know. They are in a high mountain desert, so they're like at 7,000 feet before they even go up. And so he was all excited, so he's running across, and then he would just stop. And then he'd run some more. We kept telling him, take it slow
Take
and
it
easy.
slow
So
because it's, oh, there it goes. It was very windy the day we were there.
it's cool wind.
But, you could hear the wind blowing.
Yeah.
Did you have to walk back up the hill?
Yes, they
Oh,
have
yeah.
to walk back
Oh,
up the
yeah.
hill.
Oh, he'd go find a different one somewhere else
Yep,
to try it.
to try that one out.
He learned quickly not to run anymore, though.
And it's a trek to get to the hills. And then the hills, you know, this is soft sand that you're trekking through. That's what I did. I was exhausted.
Well, you
with
can,
it.
I think, oh yeah, that's video. Way to go. Well, anyway. But yeah, the wind was really blowing. It was cool and windy that day, so you had to be careful. While we were there, a gentleman talked to us. He liked the color of our car, so we talked to him out in the parking lot before we left, and he said, "Have you been to this reptile alligator farm? It's just a little ways away." And I said, "No." And so I was kind of, well, this sounds kind of cool. So we went over there for a little while, and well, it was actually pretty good. You kind of drive up to it and go, one of those type of places.
Yeah.
But they had a little tiny alligator that they let him hold, and he was just grinning ear to ear. And then when you're done, they force the mouth open of the alligator and they put in the certificate that the kids get, and it bites down on it, so they have the alligator teeth marks.
It was his prized possession.
It was. Has nothing to do with the national parks, but
No, but there's always some kind of little place near the national parks that's kind of fun to make a stop to.
So then we went on to Capitol Reef in Utah. And that's the one he really wanted to see. And Capitol Reef, it was created, they call it by a wrinkle in the earth. They call it a waterfall, but it's basically where the rocks kind of overlaid each other and bumped somewhat. You know, it's somehow it's different than other places, but
It was beautiful, but the
It's
thing that was
absolutely beautiful.
really neat about Capitol Reef is there's so much to see and do. You can hike like you can at most, and you can see a lot of different kinds of landscape and stuff, but it was an area that was lived in by the Mormon people when they first came through. And so there's like an old house there, the old school is there. They've turned them into like a little shop. We got ice cream at this one. The orchards are still there. And so there's a lot of variety of things that you can do at Capitol Reef for a park we didn't know existed.
yeah.
We
yeah.
all really liked.
some of the
Capital.
parks seem very specific, like you go to Arches, you look for Arches. That's it, really. This one has a lot of different things that were very surprising that we didn't expect at all. And it's contrary to the sand dunes, it's not very high, so us flatlanders aren't out of breath all the time.
We could hike through this a lot easier.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
went in April, and we had pretty decent weather.
Right.
Yeah, for it, so.
So you can see this is southern Utah in April. The trees are just starting to come out.
This is a walkway along there, if you want to go to the next one, I think. It shows that there are hieroglyphics on the walls there from the native people when they lived there. And that was very interesting to
Yeah.
see too. They're very clear and very easy to see. And we had never seen anything like that. So we
No.
found a lot of variety there, didn't we?
We did. We were very impressed with it.
And we also found you need to take cash with you when you go to the national parks and areas around, because we bought breakfast one morning and went to pay for it with our card, and they said, oh, we only take cash. And I said, well, do you take a check? And they said, no. And, well, we don't have any money, so we have a problem. Well, Sawyer said his other grandma and grandpa gave him $100 bill to take with him on his trip. And he said, well, I have my $100 bill. Oh, good, Sawyer. So Sawyer bought breakfast and we paid him back.
So then we also went to Arches. That was the surprise one of the surprise ones for him.
Because it was close by. So we thought we might as well see it.
There's a lot of them in Utah. They're very close together.
They call them the Big Five. That Bryce and Zion and Arches, Canyonlands, and one that we're forgetting.
Yeah.
It's
Maybe you've been to Arches.
My daughter has.
Some, yeah.
This
It's a lot of fun.
This is the second time we saw Arches because we went with Gary's mom and dad are here, and we went with them when we went on a trip.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's Sawyer hanging out the bottom of that little one.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Get you go.
There is holding up the balancing rock so it doesn't fall. Then we went to Canyonlands. We didn't spend a lot of time there because the weather,
The rain came in.
Yeah, it wasn't great. And it was cool and windy again.
But we got to see that, you can see the wind.
You can see it closing in behind us.
Closing in the mist and stuff, but this one is all canyons. You look down into it instead of.
That's the actual view before the rain came in from that arch.
Yeah.
You look past beyond it.
Yeah.
When you're coming up to it, it's like, oh, is there anything out there? Because you can't see down below.
Wow. Gorgeous.
It is. It's very different.
So that was the end of his.
That was his.
On the way home, we did get caught in an April snowstorm and
Yeah, we did.
stayed an extra night, but we got to go to the hot water pools in
Glenwood Springs.
Glenwood Springs, Colorado. So that was kind of a fun little side.
Yeah. We were in the hot springs while it was snowing.
Snowing on us, that was fun. This we went to with my sister, and she lives in Texas, and we took a trip with her. And went
They've
to
been to Carlsbad Caverns?
Carlsbad.
A few, yeah.
These are all just,
It's very, very well done. Nice
68.
pathways.
68, yeah, many years.
Many years ago. You know, they're typical caverns, but we got a kick out of this.
Oh, I like
they had a
that.
Green Lake room. We live in Green Lake, so we thought we had to have a picture of that.
That's it. That's the Green Lake room.
Yeah.
We also did the Guadalupe Mountains, which are, that's in
Western Texas.
Western Texas, yeah.
That was on the same trip.
They're nice. Again, you could kind of hike up and see different things on it. There's a spot kind of over in here that my sister-in-law and I hiked up to, and it had a nice clear pool fed by springs, and there were all kinds of butterflies just flying around in there. Yeah, it was just kind of nice.
Olympic National Park, that's been 16-ish
Quite a
years
while,
ago.
yeah.
When our daughter and son first got married, they lived in Seattle. And so I wanted to go up to that area. I was a second grade teacher, and we learned about the Native Americans who lived up in the Northwest there, so I wanted to go and see it. And so we saw those pictures. This is from our trip with Ed and Lou
Yeah,
also.
these are my parents right here.
When we went to Zion, it was nighttime. It was dark by the time we got there.
And you come in from the top. Zion's one you go down on the floor and look up at them all. And you come in from the top, so you just drive in and out. And it was dark, and I was driving. And then we went through, we just stayed in a hotel just outside of it. And then we went in the next day. And then we left during the day, and you had to come out on the same road. It was like, whoa, I didn't know about this. I think there's a bottom out there somewhere.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how far down it goes.
So yes, that's what the road is looking like as you came in.
Oh, no.
You just didn't know it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what's interesting about Zion. You're clear down on the bottom of it, and you're looking at all these peaks that are hundreds, if not thousands of feet up. There's lots of hiking trails that hikers like to go out and do on.
Bryce Canyon is also close by there.
Right? And this one's opposite of Zion. You're at the top of it, and you're looking down.
And it's the one that has the hoodoos, they call them. The spikes of rock that stick up out of the ground.
Down here.
They're all been carved away by erosion, and it's very interesting because depending on the kind of rock, it forms the different shapes and stuff, but they're very tall columns of rock that have somehow survived.
Bryce was hired
Yeah.
for us flatlanders. Didn't do a lot of walking
And we went to see the Grand Canyon.
there. Yeah,
Grand Canyon,
Never been
a lot of
there.
people have been there.
No.
But,
it's beautiful.
so it was beautiful, yeah, it was.
Even in April, there was quite a few people there.
There were a lot of people there, yeah.
What time of year?
This one we went with your mom and dad.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I
Yeah.
forgot. So this was July, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, yeah, it's a lot of people there in July.
Yeah.
Did you walk out on the class?
No.
No.
They
Yeah.
were, no. I couldn't even watch. You know how people are? People were putting their kids over the fence to take their pictures with the Grand Canyon behind them because, you know, kids are so predictable that that's a good thing to do. And I couldn't even watch.
Yeah, It's kind of like at the zoo when they go over the,
Yeah,
Yeah,
similar,
yep.
similar, yeah.
These are the 11, is it 11 tribes?
Right. And you can see there's Apache, Navajo, I can't pronounce some of the other names, Hopi, Yavapai.
From that area.
Yeah. I've called that home, at home.
Mhm.
That's pretty.
Oh,
Yeah, this is a
Antelope.
side trip.
Yeah, Antelope Canyon is not a national park, but you should go to Antelope Canyon. You see the pictures? It's a screensaver on computers and stuff sometimes, and it is fascinating. It is so beautiful. You walk inside, it's a slot canyon, and it really looks like this, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We waited a long time to get on. It belongs to the Navajo people, and so you have to sign up for a time to go, and they're getting back everything we took away from them by charging a lot of money, which is great because, I mean, this was absolutely beautiful. So it wasn't far from the other ones we were seeing, so we added it on too, and it's definitely worth a stop, isn't it?
What
Yeah.
state is that in?
Arizona,
Arizona too.
by Page, I think it was. So in the far northwest corner. Okay. Yeah, highly recommended.
Yeah.
You go out that way. This is the one, we've been there a couple times, various times, and I would assume many of you have probably, since it's relatively close by. This is one our granddaughter Cora, we're going to take her to. St. Louis, yeah.
When I went to the Gateway Arch when I was a kid, we went to St. Louis and we went up and the tornado sirens went off when we were up at the top. And I was so terrified of storms anyway, so there I was up in that arch.
Up in the arch, yeah. But a lot of people don't realize, they just think that it's the arch. If you haven't been there, they have a really nice museum area down underneath. It's the gateway to the west, of course, so it's all talking about the western movement, western expansion. But it's really well done.
Isn't it the old depot?
I think it might be close. This is the very top. You get in the, if you haven't been there, there's, I don't know, cars they call them, and they're kind of run on like almost like a cog chain thing, and you'll go up, and because the arch bends, then the car has to correct. And then it gets a little off again, and then it corrects. So you get out at the top, and then you can see out the windows up there.
Oh, this is one of my favorites too. I kind of forgot about this. We're not native from Wisconsin, so we didn't know anything about the whooping cranes until we moved here, and I've become fascinated with your whooping cranes. And my sister, again, when we were down on a different trip, we went to Aransas because it's where the whooping cranes from the original flock that goes up to Canada during the summer, where they winter. And they had a tour, you could go out. Aransas, you cannot go, nobody can step foot on it. You have to go in a boat, and it's got to be a tour boat because they're really trying to protect it. But we saw all kinds of whooping cranes down there.
Off
It
the-
was-
kind of
Where is
the-
that located?
On the Texas coast, kind of in the middle.
Padre Island, Rockport over.
Mhm,
Yeah, by
over in- I
Rockport,
think
if
we
you
took
know
out
where
from
that is.
Rockport, didn't we? Or just south of Rockport is where we got on.
Just north, yeah.
Yeah.
It was only, what, a year after the hurricane
Yes.
had gone through, and it was still pretty messy
Down
around there.
there.
In fact, the tour place for the boat was in a very temporary office.
Kind of a little tent-like thing,
Yeah.
but there are some of the whoopers that we saw, and so that was cool.
There is a
To
short
see.
little boardwalk you can get off on, and kind of the one little hill that happens to be there, and look. And we don't have a picture of it, but I counted, and there were 50 whooping cranes
Wow.
that you could see in that one spot. It's a pretty area.
Yeah.
Don't they migrate up into this area a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
There's
Not from there.
a secondary flock that goes from here down to Florida in the winter, yeah.
Yeah, it's,
They trained them to go to Florida.
Isn't there a crane foundation too in the Dells?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, there is.
yeah, if you haven't been there, go.
That's a good place to
very
go,
well
yeah,
done,
it's very
too.
interesting place to. But there were also flamingos.
Spoonbills.
So that was
Yeah,
That was
I think-
cool.
I think this might be an ibis, I'm not sure. It's, because it is right on the coast of Texas, and actually part of it is used for the intercoastal waterway there. And so right smack in the middle of this national wildlife area are barges full of gas and oil and
Yeah.
all kinds of things, all kinds of potential for problems. But
Wow. Big Bend, we went to. It's a good thing I have family in Texas.
a lot of people don't know where Big Bend is. You can see here's Austin, San Antonio, Texas, and there's a part of Texas that dips down the bend in the Rio Grande River. So it's Big Bend.
It's very interesting because you stood there, we were there, and it's barely a stream at that point, the Rio Grande is.
I mean, you could have walked across.
You could walk across, and I really, really wanted to, but everybody told me I'd be arrested for going across the border. I really wanted to just go touch Mexico, but you could see people over on the other side having a picnic and stuff, and speaking in Spanish, and it was just really interesting to think about how just a river is all the difference between the two places.
Yeah. In fact, they had, I assume they were horses, right? Because we saw them from a distance, or burros, I can't remember. And there's one kind of spot overlook, and you could see them with their trucks and hear them talking not very far away. But it was in Mexico, and we were still in the United States. But they obviously either have permission or sneak over and set up a little stand on the top of there. Nobody's there, just a little place you can put your money, but they have like handmade mugs and I can't remember what it's, jewelry,
and things,
purses,
yeah,
type of things there.
I think that I want to think that the Rangers just look the other way. You know, that's a good moneymaker for the people in Mexico.
Yeah.
So,
This is up in the center part of Big Bend where the mountainous part is, and they call this the window. You can kind of see why. It's actually a nice paved part of it, walkway up there. And we were there when stuff was
Yeah, the
flowering at
cactus
that time.
are
It was
flowering.
beautiful.
Glacier Bay National Park, we went through on a ship on the way home from Alaska.
But what a lot of people don't realize, it's not just water and glaciers. There is actually a preserve area that's pretty good size that you can actually go in and hike and camp and stuff too. But we didn't do that part of it.
They come on to the ships and they'll stamp your passport book for you and the rangers tell you all about it and stuff when you're on the ship. So it was very interesting. There's one of the glaciers.
Can't remember, that might be John Hopkins Glacier, I think. And they are, because you're on a big boat in a big area, you don't realize how big they are. This one is almost a mile wide and several hundred feet tall. And I think, if I remember right, John Hopkins, the glacier itself is like 14 miles long. It goes back up in the mountains. This is the Marjorie Glacier. That's the longest one. I remember that because it's exactly a mile wide and went up 21 miles up into the mountains.
In Denali, we lucked out on Denali because you take the train up and we had 2 days in Denali and 2 days of pure blue skies and sunshine. They say only about 30% of the people see the top of Denali because it's so cold and so high it creates its own climate up there. And so a lot of people don't get to see it. This picture, we were on the train and we spotted them. They call these the Three Sisters, the three mountains, but it's 50 miles away from the mountains.
So several moves.
Yep, we did, didn't we? And all kinds of ptarmigan. That's their
Ptarmigan, yeah.
state bird. There was all kinds of them. Kind of, they're bigger.
They're bigger.
They're about like this.
But they were just like right along the side of the road.
On the side of the road. They didn't, I mean, I'm sure they fly, but they didn't seem to fly off. They were more ground feeders
Yeah.
and stuff.
You go up in that bus you saw, maybe
Yeah.
they'll take the tours. You can't go as far in as you used to, and I don't know if they've got it fixed now or
Yeah,
not.
they had a big washout.
They had a big washout in the road about halfway up, so you could only go half what bus
We
tour
used to
usually.
go. There it is. We just
So
had
this is in the park.
perfect day, an absolutely perfect day.
That looks fake.
It does, doesn't it? It really does.
It is not though.
Yeah.
That is not a fake picture.
When we went up to Alaska, it was a land and sea tour, and so we went to Denali and we went to the Yukon for the midnight sun because it was in June, and we ended up on the ship going back, and we would both recommend going the other way because this was the first thing we saw. And so then, even though everything else was beautiful and we loved it, it was kind of anticlimactic compared to
It was
Denali.
literally kind of downhill.
Yes, the whole way. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it was still all really nice.
Well,
There we go.
there we go. Some of the national parks.
Questions? Anything? It's a lot of fun. If you haven't been, I recommend going. They're very well done. The rangers are very knowledgeable, of course, about their own parks.
Tell your kids to take their kids. And
Some of the more
That's really
popular
great.
ones, because they are so popular, you have to actually
That's a good
schedule a time to go in now. So you have to go online and
I heard that about Yellowstone, is that?
Yellowstone
Yes,
is
yeah.
getting that way, Arches,
Scott said he couldn't get into Mammoth when they went,
Okay.
that it was booked.
I think I know Yosemite is, because Yosemite's very
Yeah,
popular.
oh yeah, Yosemite is really bad.
Yeah.
You have to have a pass to get in there now? We drove in and hiked and,
In Yosemite,
oh, we spent all,
when we were there with Ed and Lou, they said basically the only way you can get in is on a tour bus. That
How
they
long
don't,
ago was
because
it?
it's, how many years, 7,
2015.
8 years ago?
That's
9 years ago.
9 years ago?
when
Yeah.
we lived there, we literally would take off after breakfast and go, and we'd hike along the river, and we'd go into the hotel.
Oh,
and-
yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is, that it's so
Yeah.
crowded that, so,
And a lot of
anyway.
them have lodges you can stay at, but they're kind of expensive. I mean, if you want to
And
pony up the money and stay in the park, yeah, they're nice, they're cool, but
Yeah.
we didn't do that. We found cheap ones outside the parks.
We stayed at Denali because that was part of our tour. That was
Right.
an organized tour, and it was really nice to stay there
Yeah.
and stuff. But, so, anyway, thank you.
Thanks for coming.